All right. Ready to do this thing?
I'm ready to do this thing.
All right.
There we go.
Hit that funky music, white boy. Welcome back to Dads Meet World, your weekly deep dive into that classic 90s show known as Boy Meets World. I am one of your two dads, Tyler.
And I'm the other white dad, Brett.
Yes, we are two basic white dads.
I'm anything but basic, my friend.
I can't remember what movie it was, but I was listening. There's a audiobook that I've been listening to about 1999 and being considered one of the greatest years of movies coming out. And there was a
lot of good movies
that the director said to the composer, "Hey, I want you to pretend like." I want you to write this as if you're someone who thinks you know how to do funk music and you don't. And the guy's like, well, yeah, I'm a white guy and that's the type of music I prefer to do. So it was like, oh, it works out. It's like, yes, be yourself.
I will be myself. And as I tell my wife and as I tell, I've got a friend that is very, very white. Yes. Good looking people. I know I am quite Caucasian. I am as white as I want to be.
Yeah. Well, Brett, what's new? How are things? What's happening?
Well, we've got our first band show is coming up at the, we're recording on a Saturday, and next Saturday will be our first band show. So that's coming up. That's exciting. And I spent the afternoon today dusting off the old camera for a side gig doing wedding photography all afternoon. Haven't done that in quite some time. So that was a fun and a different afternoon. Nice small outdoor wedding in Northeast Ohio. Just finished as the rain started drizzling. So that was kind of nice timing there.
Nice.
Yeah. And our oldest, Abby, has been sick pretty much all week and finally is back to herself this evening. So that's what's going around this basic white dad's house this week. How about you, Tyler?
I don't think I've actually said this officially on the podcast, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So I'm coaching my son's football team this year. Yes. Nothing like trying
football.
to teach a couple of 6 and 7 year olds how to play a very complicated game. So yeah, we had a tournament today. That was interesting. They tried their best, but shenanigans on one side of the field, and then just being wet and miserable is just not a good environment for little kids at that age.
Yeah.
So they didn't really want to be there and play. So it just was what it was today. But they tried, so that's all that counts, and gave good effort. Brett, I'll tell you real quick. I did something selfish for the first time in quite some time. I bought something useless that was just for me.
What did you buy?
Just for me, something that would just bring me some joy.
Yeah? What did you buy?
Yeah. I bought myself some Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
That was a spicy woo.
Easily like 12 years since I bought myself a little pack. And I bought, technically I bought 2 in the past 2 days. But Sarah wanted something, and I was like, well, if you're going to get that, then I'm going to get this. So, but yeah.
There you go.
I was like, I feel good about this. Is it useless? And was it a waste of money? Of course it was. But how often do I actually spend money on myself? Not often.
Yeah, and you know what? It's only useless from the outside looking in. If it's something you will enjoy and something you will use, then it's not useless to you. And, as long as it's not taking the place of something important that your family actually needs, then, hey, it's not a useless expenditure. It's just a fun expenditure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I pulled my cards out like a week or two ago, And I was showing my son them, and I made it clear to him of, hey, if you want to play this game with Daddy that I used to enjoy, you need to get better at reading and understanding, how you can look at all these things, so that way you can play with Daddy, because otherwise Daddy's going to crush you every time.
And Daddy will have no mercy.
Yeah. Well, we've been playing chess with each other, and Grayson's like, oh, you win every time. And it's like, yeah, because I've been playing it longer than you have.
Yeah, see, you don't want to make it too easy for your kids. You want that first time they beat you to be earned.
Correct.
Yes. So before we transition, good-looking people, we are recording on the day before the full slate of the first week of NFL action kicks off. And I just want to ask, I want you to weigh in on tape, so to speak. How is your excitement level for your Colts with your new coach and your new rookie quarterback about to take the field?
I plead the fifth. Part of my excitement right now is because we have a brand new coach. Irsay is going to give him time, even if this year's a failure. We have a rookie quarterback, and every time we've drafted a rookie quarterback over the past, 30 years, it's gone pretty well. But at the end of the day, I don't put my hopes up too high, because I don't want to disappoint myself and get mad. However, I will say I did draft Anthony Richardson onto my fantasy team, so I'm going to throw him on as my offensive player and see what happens. So
I've got Evan Hall on a couple of my benches, just waiting to see what he does since Taylor's sitting out. So, yeah,
I got a few random young Colts players that I picked up, because I was like, I'd rather, just in case, if they get 2 points in the first 2 weeks, I'll drop them. I love dropping players. I'll be honest. That's my favorite thing, is just add, drop, add, drop, add, drop. My brother, who's the commissioner, used to have a limit on how many we could do, and it was like week 8, and I'm like, hey, I'm about to use all of my add drops. Can we increase the number? And he's like, I'll just make it unlimited.
There's no need to have that. Yeah, there's no need for that. But good-looking people, you don't come here for football talk and fantasy football talk. If you do, we'll start one up. You come here for Boy Meets World talk. So shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's talk about the real heroes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the 5th episode of Season 3, Hometown Hero. And good-looking people, this is special because this is the 50th episode of Boy Meets World to air. Woo! That's right. 50 episodes on the air. That was a huge accomplishment. And honestly, in the era of prestige TV, where you get 8, 10, 13 episodes a season at most these days, 50 would be an accomplishment. You'd have to run 5 seasons for a lot of shows to get that now. In this episode, Cory and Sean sneak into the chemistry lab and accidentally start a fire, which Cory also puts out. However, he gets more than he bargained for when he is labeled a hero. Will Cory do the right thing and tell the truth? Or will he let people continue to think he's something he's not? This episode was written by Matthew Nelson. This is his 3rd of 19 episodes we'll see him write. He's also the writer of Career Day, Fishing for Verna, Chasing Angela Part 2. That's the second part. That's not Part 2. Everybody Loves Stewart for Love and Apartments, and he authored the series finale, Brave New World. Directed by John Tracy, 3rd of 5 episodes that he directed, including the pilot episode. Originally aired October 27th, 1995, and currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 7.5. And now, if my soundboard will cooperate with me, it's time for everyone's favorite game show,
Vast emotional damage.
Yes. Tyler? Let's find out if you can avoid vast emotional damage this week. Last week's episode scored a 16.9 in the Nielsen ratings. 16.9 million people, good-looking people, tuned in originally to watch last week's episode. This week, Tyler, what do you think it did? Did it go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same?
Well, since this is the 50th episode, so technically there's supposed to be some specialness to it, and I'm sure they promoted it a good amount. Let's just go ahead and say 18.72.
18.72. You have...
You suck!
I'm sorry. It actually dropped down to 13.8 million viewers. I don't remember them promoting it all as being a milestone episode. It just on that up and down trajectory they had for the first month or so. Just continues as we get deeper into the season, as we get past football season for high school, and as they start to kind of lean into, they're still kind of, we talked briefly last week how they're finding their footing, trying to find their audience. I've looked ahead at the Nielsen numbers. They'll balance out some, at least as far. They won't have quite as large swings. But yeah, big drop from last week. But that's all I've got to set us up. Take us away, Daddy-O.
Well, we start in a brand new location, Brett. One we've never seen before. And I don't know, it's kind of a weird one. You're in the room and you're like, what, where are they? What's happening? And then you see Chang and he's acting kind of funky and he walks out and then we stumble upon the gang and they're walking down the hallway being all cute and adorable and, just chit-chatting away and sharing photos and, oh wait. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Community Season 3, Episode 5, not Boy Meets World. By the way, that's a great episode. They end up having to figure out whose partner they're going to be, and they get into a big giant fight about it. It's quite nice.
Ah, yes, biology.
Yes. Anywho, actually, this works. This is a science class that they're in. So, we meet a new teacher, who is his name?
Dr. Sorrell. And good looking people, if you think you've seen him before, you very likely have. I got to say, this is one of my favorite teachers Cory's going to have in high school. And Dr. Sorrell is played by Jim Jansen. Sadly, this is the first of only 2 times we're going to see him. 134 acting credits to his name. He's been in just about everything. Charlie's Angels in the 70s, Highway to Heaven, Who's the Boss, Mr. Belvedere, Newhart, L.A. Law, Just the 10 of Us. That'll come back around. Growing Pain, Coach, Matlock, Murphy Brown, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Home Improvement, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Hang with Mr. Cooper, Smart Guy, Step by Step.
Step by step, day by day.
The X-Files, Third Rock from the Sun, Ally McBeal, ER, The West Wing, Gilmore Girls, Yes Dear, Monk, NYPD Blue, Malcolm in the Middle, The Office, How I Met Your Mother, Parks and Recreation. We haven't seen him on camera since 2016. It seems he's pretty much retired from acting, and he's earned it at this point. Whew. It only took us 5 episodes, but we got that step-by-step connection and a lot of other TJIF connection from Dr. Sorrell.
Yeah. That's a lot of shows. Who did he play in Gilmore Girls?
I don't remember, but let me look.
Oh, okay. I don't know if he played the grandpa. That's why I was curious.
Reverend Archie Skinner.
Oh, okay. Nope. Oh, well. Well, anywho, we're in their science class. I'm assuming it's chemistry. And so their teacher, Sorrell, says, hey, make sure your lab reports are turned in today. No exceptions, no exceptions. No extensions, no exceptions. And Cory and Sean, notoriously bad at doing schoolwork, go, uh-oh, we don't have it. So they're trying to figure out, well, we got to get our story straight so we know what to, say as our excuse. And apparently we have the quarterback. Officially, we've now met the royalty of the school, the quarterback, and he's getting a free pass to not do his schoolwork, and he just accepts that everything's fine. And Cory and Sean try to see if they can also get away with it, and he goes, nope, and doesn't even realize that they're there.
Yeah,
Hey, Dr. Sorrell.
No.
Yeah, I do enjoy the creativity of Cory and Sean, where alien abductions and the aliens ate their papers are going to come into play, and Dr. Sorrell just has no time for that. Mm-hmm. But Tommy, who, by the way, first and only time we're going to see Tommy, played by Michael Haniff, 4 acting credits to his name, including Jag, Sybil, and ER. And we haven't seen him on a TV screen since 1998. I wonder what kind of reaction we get from you for a teacher giving the star football player such a pass, especially with your history of Hollywood writers and how how athletes are treated in high school.
No, this would never happen. Like, at least from my school, jocks were not treated differently, or as we referred to ourselves as athletes, but also more often than not, we were expected to do more and to get good grades regardless. Mm-hmm. Now, would it surprise me if someone didn't do what they were supposed to and they got a little bit of a pass? Potentially, but not a, hey, sorry, I didn't do the lesson. That's okay, you get an A. Like, I don't know what his degree is in, but it's certainly not the same as Feeney's integrity.
Oh, no. And in both of his appearances, Dr. Sorrell is a morally gray at best. I mean,
principal of this school, I demand you tell me.
So, I mean, slight spoiler alert, but I mean, this is a 30-year-old show. He wants to take Eric to Vegas to count, or is it Vegas or Atlantic City, to count cards at a few episodes. Yeah. So, but it's very fortuitous that we were covering this episode now, because just last week, did you? I don't know if you had heard about about Riley Leonard, the Duke quarterback.
No.
Ah, yes. Well, good-looking people. Just very brief tangent here. September 6th, last week, the unranked Duke Blue Devils, their quarterback led them to a 28-7 upset over the number 9 ranked Clemson Tigers. And their quarterback...
I did know about that.
Yes, their quarterback had one thing on his mind, asking for a homework extension. He was turned down for an extension, and ESPN actually got a hold of the professor he asked for, apparently, and his response was, the other lineman planned ahead and did the assignment ahead of time. Why would we make an exception for him? Why didn't the quarterback plan ahead? So no way, man, no extension. Mm-hmm. So I found it very fortuitous. That was a big story for about 12 hours in the sports sphere.
Well, I mean, and I don't think that this school has always done it perfectly, but Duke is one of those institutions of, no, you will be academically sound. You will do your assignments. There is no fake classes that we put together so that your GPA can rise. Like, if you get a degree from there, it's because you earned it, not you were given one. Because trust me, good-looking people, when it comes to college football and college basketball, there are very questionable things that very powerful people have done and to get free athletes, and some people have been hurt and suffered because of the actions of the few. So I'm not the biggest college football fan, just because of, well, after the whole Sandusky thing in Penn State, it kind of push me away a little bit. But on the whole, I have problems with the lack of support and pay and all that jazz for the student athletes. So, but it's complicated. I love football.
It is.
I do.
Yeah. So, So Dr. Sorrell clearly.
Yeah, I like how Cory then goes, it's okay, I'll ask. We have a close relationship. It's closer than student and teacher. And the next scene is, I can't believe you didn't even know my name.
Yes. What does Cory expect? I mean, he knows he's nobody at this school.
Yeah. He's both nobody and somebody always.
Yes. Yes. So they're sneaking in after hours, and I clipped out Cory's little rant here as they're trying to find their way around the classroom in the dark.
Tommy the football hero gets a free ride for throwing a stupid lucky touchdown.
Cory, let me tell you something about breaking and entering. You usually don't hang around and vent while you're doing it.
He's only fooling himself if he thinks his hero stuff's gonna carry him through life, though.
Oh yeah, Troy Aikman's really hurting.
I'm a felon hunter, don't push me. All I'm saying is he's heading for a fall if he believes his own hype.
Come on, let's just put our papers on the desk and get out of here. We are home free.
Oddly prophetic for Cory. Yes. But yes, Cory's got a problem with the jocks again. Or at least this one specific jock.
Well, and again, we're talking sports, but it's amusing to me that they think a kid from Philly would be talking about Troy Aikman in a positive light.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much those two cities hate each other.
Yeah. Like, it's one thing for Cory and Sean to be pretending to be Jerry Rice out in San Francisco, but to be invoking the name of a Dallas Cowboy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brett, say one nice thing about the Browns.
I really can't right now. I can say nice things about a couple individuals, but I really can't about the Browns right now.
Yeah. That's okay. So yeah, they're in there, and apparently it's dark, even though there are lights from outside. They can't find the actual lights in the room, and they're stumbling around. So one of them decides, let's light a match. What could go wrong?
In a chem lab, nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah. And, they magically light a fire. I will say that's a pretty intense flame for being in a bin. Apparently, Dr. Sorrell doesn't know what he is doing because that type of flame should not happen in that area.
Yeah, those matches really went up. I mean, those are like some pretty special effect matches. That trash bin was full of more than just paper, and it should have been emptied by that point. Janitor Bud's really slacking. And yeah, that fire really got to backdraft status quick.
Yeah, well, it lit immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's, like I said, there's more than just paper in that trash can.
Yeah. And of course, the guys panic. They, sprint out of there as soon as possible because, hey, there's a fire. We got to protect ourselves. And then, of course, Cory goes, oh my gosh, the school's on fire. Mm-hmm. And Sean's just like, yeah, no, it's fine. Chemicals will take care of it. He goes, no. If it hits the chemicals, the school could blow up. No, my paper, I said chemicals don't catch fire.
I really want to know what this paper was about. If Sean's concluding thought was, in conclusion, chemicals don't explode. If that was his concluding thought, what was the paper being assigned in this chem lab?
Doesn't matter, Brett.
No, but I really do want to know.
So they run. Cory goes back inside to take care of it. And of course, Sean's yelling up to him, hey, when you're up there, change my paper.
Change the ending.
Oh, gosh. They skip to the next day because, this season we skip to things very quickly, very fast. We spend very few time in each scene. And immediately Bud's like, it was you. I know it was you. He goes, I didn't do anything. He goes, no, you're the kid that saved my life.
Yeah.
And Cory's really confused because what he thought should be getting him in trouble, people are giving him acclamation. No.
Acclaim,
Acclaim, yes.
Yeah.
And he's being seen as one of the guys, or the guy, or the man, whatever you want to say.
You demand, yeah. And, anyone who saves my life is okay in my book. I love Janitor Bud. And I love how Sean's plan as Cory is being led away into Turner's classroom is...
Quick, rub off your DNA.
Rub off your DNA.
We never claimed that Sean was the brightest tool in the shed.
Oh, no, Sean is not science-minded. Sean is smart in other areas. It's not science when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
But Mr. Feeney really doesn't seem to buy into everything.
Yeah. Is it safe to say, Brett, that things go from 0 to 100 immediately? Like, Sean tells Cory to embrace this, and Cory returns to jock Cory.
Yeah. Cory.
Cory just is the worst version of himself. Like, this is a cross between when he cheated on that IQ test and when he became a jock for a day. Like, it's like those two episodes are crossing right now. And Janitor Bud is just doing all these things. He has a red carpet for him. He got him a open and close automatic locker genie.
Yep.
Which is not real. Sorry, I looked into it. Not real. But yeah, and they decide to throw a pep rally for him in his honor because he saved the school. And Cory feels fine with all of this so far.
I will give Cory a little bit of credit, and it's for this interaction I clipped.
No, this doesn't feel right.
Cory, this is exactly what you were talking about yesterday. Your free ride. Tommy got lucky with his touchdown, and you got lucky with the fire.
The one I started.
Nobody knows that. Come on, you're always saying how you want to be somebody. Now you are. You're a hero.
Initially, it is not Cory's plan to run with everything. Initially, he is talked into it. Now, yes, Cory does run with it, but initially, I give him a little bit of credit for being uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
But after he starts getting the accolades, the locker genie and the red carpet.
I know you're mad at me, and I didn't want to lie to my parents, but I just figured that if I told them the truth, it would have made things a lot worse, you know?
Sure, you're not just getting off on this whole thing.
Sean, I'm just giving people what they want. I mean, I don't want to disappoint them.
Disappoint them?
Listen to my morning. Listen to this. Photo shoot with the homecoming queen, sushi with Dr. Sorrell, then I gotta fight traffic to greet the new exchange students at the airport. I don't know how to make it stop.
You can just tell them no.
Well, I'm afraid to do that.
Why?
I don't want to go back to being the same old Cory Matthews.
What was wrong with him?
Sean, I've been at the school for 2 years, and people still call me Eric's brother, Sean's friend, or my favorite, hey kid, move.
That's a very important key, Brett, and why my headcanon works. He says, I've been here for 2 years. Now, they could be saying that this is the second year, but you don't get to 2 years until after 2 years. Because it's still at the beginning of the school year.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, initially he was hesitant, but after just a little bit of a taste, he doesn't want to give it up. And he blames it on other people initially, but when you get down just digging a little bit, he admits he doesn't want to go back to being who he was. Yeah.
He likes the attention.
Yeah, he likes it. He doesn't want to go back to being old Cory. Gee, I wonder where we've heard this before from Cory.
Yeah. So he ends up running into Dr. Sorrell. Apparently, he wanted to let him know that he gave him an A+ in his paper. Even though his paper was burned. He goes, I knew where you were going with it.
Yeah. Like, all you can see is my name. I saw where you were going. Meanwhile,
Hunter D. Chemicals do explode.
And Sean's okay with the D. He's riding Cory's coattails. Cory's getting a free ride. And we are getting very little Topanga in this episode to be a moral guide to Cory through all of this.
This is a criminal episode against Topanga. And it's one of the things I really noted this go around is Topanga should not be a part of the mob. This should be an episode where she's not around. Otherwise, later Topanga would be calling him out for these type of shenanigans. Yeah.
Topanga would have really been able to key in initially that something was not right and wouldn't have let it go.
I have a big problem with them having her be a fangirl in this episode.
Yeah. Isn't this great for Cory? Yeah, no, that's not Topanga. Not my Topanga.
Yeah, because essentially either he does tell her the truth or he lies to her as well, which is not good for their relationship.
Yeah. So what do you think of the pep rally?
Well, as you know, I don't know much about inspirational speeches, but I do know that just repeating someone's name and trying to make clear that you're available does not make a good speech.
I clipped both Cory and Eric's messages. Do you want to hear them?
Yes.
Let's hear Eric first.
Okay, I'd like to start off with a mega big Patriots hello to all my fellow students, especially you, Christine Wingate. I see you looking at me. Cory Matthews. Now, what can I say except, well, last week Stephanie and I broke up, so I am currently single and available. Call me. Cory Matthews, a hero.
Do you remember Stephanie?
No, doesn't matter.
But this is right on par for Eric.
I bet he didn't say I love you to her.
No, he did not. They didn't go to Pottery Barn either.
I mean, this is full blown Eric being ridiculous, and I do love this. This might be one of the few things that really fits in this episode.
Yes, this is as much as we're into is it prime Eric hair? Or is it, is that the term that Sarah uses, prime, or is it another word?
Peak.
This is peak Eric self-centeredness, and I'm here for it. Yeah. Especially when we get to the interview later on. I think that's a lot of fun.
It's probably my favorite moment.
Well, let's listen in on Cory's motivational speech.
Thank you, Tommy. My fellow heroes. I've been asked to tell my story to give the football team a little shot in the arm. Excuse me. There's still some smoke in my lungs. Now, you guys are playing this weekend, and you're scared because the other guys are bigger than you. Well, last night, my friends, those flames were a lot bigger than me. All right. Yeah. But did I run away? No! That's right, my friends. Because if you're gonna succeed in business or on the gridiron, you have got to believe you can do it. Remember, there's a little Cory Matthews inside each and every one of you. It's a metaphor.
Do you have a little Cory Matthews inside of you, Tyler?
No.
I love it if you're going to succeed in business or on the gridiron.
Yeah, it's not a bad speech. I'll give him that. Cory can really be, a wordsmith.
Yeah.
But it's just that disappointment of he's digging himself in deeper.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you've gone well past it's just a mistake to you've bought into your own hype, hook, line, and sinker. You're exactly what you were accusing Tommy of being.
Yeah, no, you are being the opposite of what you were raised to be.
Yeah, you've lost the plot.
Yep, and so Sean is a little concerned.
Yes, Sean is very worried about Cory's ego and buying into his own hype, and it's. Is student council really considering renaming the school after Cory, I wonder? But either way, Cory reassures him it's not like he's lying to his parents, who, of course, Cory apparently didn't think that anyone would say anything to his parents about all of these accolades he's getting, that he saved the school and saved Janitor Bud's life. And no one's going to call them or tell them that their son's a hero. Yeah. Yeah. Cory really is dumb.
Yeah, well, he's blinded by the attention.
He is. And I mean, it's very believable that someone in Cory's situation would do that. It's not like I'm saying it's outside the realm of possibility. It's a very believable thing. I'm just saying Cory's dumb.
Yeah, it's not a good look for him this episode. That's for sure.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. So, of course, right after telling Sean he's not going to lie to his parents, he does.
Immediately.
He is so far gone.
Yeah. I don't even know how to respond to all this, Brett.
Well, after Cory shares about not wanting to go back to Hey Kid Move, Eli and Jonathan show up.
Yeah, Eli and Jonathan are very suspiciously supportive and just... I don't know if they're playing into it all, like if they think he did do something wrong, or they're just believing in the best of him and just assuming, hey, if Matthew said he put the fire out, I believe he put the fire out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything in their performance that they're in Mr. Feeney's camp that they're suspicious at all. I see their performance as being they're along for the ride.
Right. Well, and it's one of those episodes where it's all through Cory's perspective. It's only through his interactions he's seeing with people. And I don't mind those episodes when we do it, because then you don't know where everybody else stands. Because so many episodes you will have, what's Feeney going to do about this, or what's Turner going to do about this, and the struggle that these adults have. And this is just in the mindset of, as a teenager, I'm lying. And I know it. I'm lying. My best friend knows I'm lying, but apparently everybody else doesn't realize I'm lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the plus side, I am glad to see that Eli, even though he was fired from role of a news producer, he does still have some friends in the industry, and he's able to make some calls and make some connections and get Cory onto the evening news.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah. And, of course, when Cory uses his locker genie to save himself the trouble of banging his head into his locker.
Famous people. They're all weird.
I love you. Eli's got a couple of nice zingers in this episode. He
really does.
He's there. I love it. And Feeney wants to hear the whole story. He's looking forward to hearing the whole story.
Yes, he's very intrigued by what Cory is going to say is the real story.
Yep. Yeah.
I do love that Cory does call into a help number to try to get some advice, and talking about courage, and Cory says his name is Gomez.
Gomez.
And she goes, if you need courage, there's going to be a story in Philadelphia tonight about a boy who saved his school from a fire.
What? I was on hold for 45 minutes for that.
Well, back then they charged you for every single one of
Yes,
those
they
minutes
did.
too.
This was guarantee you. This was a 900 number, not an 800 number, a 900 number.
Yeah.
Charged by the minute. Good looking people. So not only did he lie to his parents, he's running up their phone bill.
Yeah. So they're in the boys' room, and Cory's he's spiraling now. He's officially in spiral zone, and Sean's with him, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come on TV with me?" And he goes, "Be on TV and lie? I'm not crazy."
Now, I do want to give Sean some credit here because he does show some maturity. He admits that he's partly to blame in telling Cory to ride the wave. Not mature enough to be willing to go on TV with Cory to own up to his part in encouraging to, but at least showing enough maturity to say, you know what, I've got some blame to share in this for putting you in this position and giving you bad advice.
Yep. The very true statements.
Yeah. But we also get to see some of Eric's subplot for this season of wanting to be a weatherman.
Yes, because Eric comes out in a suit and is talking like a weatherman, Brett. Mm-hmm. You know how teenagers do.
Of course. He's gunning for Rich Herrera.
Yeah, he's got it for him, even though, he's clearly, that's a man and probably went to school and has training, and Eric is just a high schooler.
But Eric just sees him as a winning smile and a head of hair.
Yeah. That's all you need.
That's all you need to be a weatherman.
Gosh. Okay, I'm just going to throw it out there. This is a weird headcanon. I just thought of it in the moment. Do you think that when Eric was a young kid, someone like a grandma, potentially the one that's constantly in and out, or the one that we never see, or Nana Boo Boo, or someone just said, weathermen are just have a nice smile and a good head of hair. And Eric's like, I could do that.
I think that's quite possible. Probably right after he got off of that roller coaster.
Could be. So yeah, we're spiraling because there's TV people downstairs. Parents are all dressed nice. Yeah. There's no Morgan to be found.
Oh, no. She's still locked in her room. She's been a bad girl. They're not going to put her on TV.
They've mentioned her, but in this, they have not mentioned her for whatever reason.
She is MIA completely. Whatever she did is bad enough. They don't want her on TV. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, there's grips, there's sound guys, there's camera crew. Jonathan and Eli are both there. And
did you like the rundown of from the TV anchor of what is going to happen, or the reporter of what's going to happen?
Oh yes, Connie is something else, and I do a lot of work in my day job of having to prep people for recording them on camera, or for recording them in a podcast with an interview format, or other type of media production, with them being the focal point in such a setting as this type of a setup. I have never tried to jam so much information into such a short amount of time as Connie did in those 14 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Connie for a second. Because I just
okay, ask them a couple questions. We love them. We'll go to break. We'll come back. Well, the hero march in. Flames. We load up the van. We're drinking by 9.
Well, not the kids,
not the children.
But Connie is. I kind of want Connie to come back, but at the same time, I'm kind of good we don't.
Yeah, she's a lot more tolerable than the snooty woman from that academy.
Yes. And I think what Griff told Joey applies here. When I look at you, the words small bites comes to mind. Small doses comes to mind. Well, Connie is played by Deborah Harmon. It's her first and only appearance on Boy Meets World. So yes, we won't see her again. 49 acting credits to her name. You might have seen her in MASH, The Facts of Life, Night Court, Growing Pains, Married with Children, Caroline in the City, the Clueless TV series Pretenders. I recognize her the most from Just the 10 of Us. She was, if you ever saw Just 10 of Us, she was the mom in that one.
Just the 10 of us.
No, that was nowhere near their theme song.
Yeah, but she meets Eric, and she goes, "Oh, you're a quite handsome young man." And Eric is putting on the charm and trying to talk like a weatherman, and just it's ridiculous.
It's negative 17 outside. I know it's October, but really?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. So yeah, they start the interview and they're trying to talk to Alan and Amy, and Eric keeps getting in the way and being a showboat, and finally Alan just goes, "Go to your room."
Yes. Now, I have two things to say about all this interview. One is, I really like the acting choice to have Alan kind of be unsteady on camera, where he's kind of unsure of his words. A lot of times,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, a lot of times on TV, you'll see characters just kind of be really natural in front of a camera with a microphone in the face when they're being interviewed. That's not normal for most people. Most people are going to be like Alan, where they're kind of, even if they've rehearsed it in their head, they know the question's coming, they know how they want to answer that, they're going to stumble over their words for a second. I do this stuff for a living. I see these people all the time. I give them questions ahead of time, and they still take 2 or 3 takes to get it out right. So it's nice of me to see someone make that acting choice. And the other one was, I really love the way that without realizing, without intending to, Amy manages to send that last dagger into Cory that he needed to come clean. And I clipped it here.
Has being a hero changed, Cory?
Well, you know, Connie, I've also got some birthday wishes. Gorgeous Edna Stein is 100 years young today. Happy birthday, Edna!
Eric, go to your room.
Dad, this is live TV.
I don't care.
Back to you, Connie.
Go!
Those kids. You asked him if Cory has changed now that he's a hero, and, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's what's so great about Cory. He's still the same sweet, wonderful kid he always was.
Well, you have to understand, Connie, that Cory didn't do this to be a hero. He did this because it had to be done. I mean, for Cory, doing the right thing, that's what makes him special.
And we'll be right back with Cory Matthews himself after this weather update from our own Rich Herrera.
You have to wonder if, on some level, they wondered. Not that they know for sure, but in the back of their head, I think that's the part where they're most confident in, of, we know we want to say these words. And that's when Alan kind of got a confidence. But if we think back to last season, for Career Day, Alan struggled. Why? Because Alan's not a public speaker. He's a guy who goes out, he does the work, and he feels very uncomfortable to talk about what it means to do the work.
Yeah, and it's very possible. Yeah, it's very possible. And we have seen that in multiple episodes, they're able to pick up on something being wrong with Cory, even if he's not displaying it in obvious ways. So it's very possible, even if it's just at a subconscious level, they have picked up on something being wrong. And that this, even at a subconscious level, is them either trying to reassure or trying to get to the root and remind him that he does what's right because it needs to be done.
I agree. Yes, but getting the reaction of Eric being upset because he could not swoop them off to be able to now become the weatherman.
Back to you,
that's
Rich
Eric's
Herrera.
mindset.
And good looking people, go back and watch and pause it when Eric's yelling. You'll see a nice little face that Alan gives. That that Rusty gives.
But I love that we're now in the backyard. And Feeney is giving some sass to the producers because some of their chords are on his plants.
Mm-hmm.
That always seems to happen. Whatever's happening at the Matthews is always affecting one of his plants or flowers.
From a real world standpoint, I don't understand why they need to come around the back, through the kitchen, just to get into the living room. You know what I mean? Through the neighbor's yard, basically.
Yeah. But I will say, Brett, if we pay attention and we notice, because the first scene we're really having in the backyard where Feeney and the Matthewses are interacting, any of the Matthewses, and what do we see this go around with the fence?
Oh, you'll have to lead me on this one.
The fence has officially been opened.
Ah, yes, it has been.
So as we've had so far, just a straight up fence, and we've had people like Eric hop over it. Turner has walked over top of it. This is the first time we're seeing there's a latch and it opens. So whether it's always done it or they just thought this would be a nice addition this year to get Feeney more involved with the Matthewses on a personal level. But they officially, there's a gate there and it's open. And I think it's a symbolic thing, Brett, of Cory has concerns. He's walking out there and Feeney's door is wide open to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I did pick up on that door being open for him. That's just that one last barrier that he needs. And I mean, I love a good Cory Feeney fence talk, and this one ranks right up there with them. And of course, I had to clip it.
What is that anyway?
Well, different things to different people, I suppose. A firefighter can be a hero. I know a man who worked in a factory for 30 years at a job he hated. It was the only way he could support his family. I felt that he was a hero.
Sounds like one to me.
But to me, a real hero is someone who does the right thing when the right thing isn't the easy thing to do.
You know Mr. Feeney, don't you? You've known all along.
Mr. Matthews, I don't have enough facts to make trouble for anyone, if that's what you mean. You have an interview to do.
I don't have enough facts to make trouble for anyone.
I mean, Mr. Feeney's got his suspicions, and in his head, he knows there's more to the story that's not being told that is not the heroic account that's being shared. But he doesn't have the information he needs to make that final accusation. It's kind of like playing a game of Clue. You know who it is, you know where what weapon was used, but you don't quite know what the game was. You can't make that last accusation. And I love how that's how he ends it. That he's not interested in making trouble, that he's more interested in knowing. But I also love that little dialogue about what it is that makes a hero. Because, I mean, it's a word that gets thrown around so much that tends to lose context, and it tends to lose a lot of its meaning. And we often think of heroism as being this monumental thing, and we look to those people who are heroic, they do things that are so far outside themselves, and those people are heroic, and they do heroic things. But when we focus only on that, we lose sight of those what we would perceive to be smaller actions that are just as heroic, because heroism is merely going beyond yourself. And I love Feeney's definition of doing the right thing when it is not what is easy.
Well, if I may, as we're talking about sports, one of the things I like about the story about the Duke that you brought up was that the linemen in his class were able to figure out how to do the assignment, so he didn't need an extension. And that is the life of a lineman. It's a person who willingly signs up for it to be a protective role and to make sure nothing happens to the quarterback and give space for the running backs. And, you see sometimes when guys will do a cheap shot on somebody, who's the first person to defend whoever got cheap shotted? It's the lineman. you're going to see, this is coming out, people already know this of if they watch sports of the biggest plays, the top plays, the best catch, the best touchdown throw, the best, rushing touchdown, I mean, the Lions game was on the other day and they talked all about, the quarterbacks and what they were up to and everything and different plays happening. And one thing they didn't talk about is how the Lions offensive line and defensive line were dominant in the game. Mm-hmm. And most often when the Lions are the dominant force in the game, you're able to do well.
Yeah. And typically the only time you hear about the lines, especially the offensive line, is when someone's made a mistake and not done their job.
Yep.
Yeah. And just for example, the Chiefs game.
Joe Thomas, he was on one time on a thing and it was Mark Schlereth. I'm sorry. Another famous offensive line. But he goes, what's annoying to me is I can line up against a guy 80 times in a game and I beat that guy 79 times in the game, but one time he beats me and I'm considered a failure for the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's either I'm perfect or I suck.
Yep. And it's tough. It's a thankless job. And there are so many thankless jobs in this world and so many thankless roles in this world where those people do have their times where they rise above, where they are heroic in their roles, in their jobs, in their positions. And we might not even see that. And we might not ever see a lot of the heroism that goes on in the world today, in the world around you. And good-looking people, I would encourage you to look around you if you don't see any heroism around you, because you might be missing out on a lot of it. There was a song that it's by a band called Super Chick, kind of a pop punk band. It's called Hero, and it's their definition of hero lines up pretty much identically with what Mr. Feeney describes here. If I can find a good link to it, I'll include it in the show notes for you, good looking people, because it's worth a listen.
Yeah, but I like how Alan and Amy come out and they say, "Come on, buddy, it's time." And he goes, "No, I have to tell you something first." And they're like, "Okay." And, he tells them and they take it wellish, but you can see immediate disappointment.
Yes. I mean, they're a very balanced. They are disappointed. They are upset. They are angry, but they do not take it out on him. It's a very well meted out response.
They make it clear that, we need to go tell them that there is no story to tell.
And by we, I mean you.
Yeah.
Because
I'm throwing it out there, Brad. Just call me crazy, but I personally feel like it would make more sense to have a interview done that's like pre-recorded instead of live.
Oh, yes.
For this type of situation. And if you're going to do a live, you bring that person into the studio, and in the studio you go, tell us what happened. But like just this whole rigmarole, I know it's episode has to episode, but I'm just like, in the real world, why would they do it like this?
Yeah, I mean, you see that a lot more today, especially. In 1995, I do give a little bit of grace here, because outside of major, they call this Philadelphia Tonight, but outside of major productions like 2020 or World News Tonight or any of those other major network stuff, you didn't see a lot of pre-produced packages like this that would have been part of that major package, major program. So I give a little bit of grace to it being live, but in a logical sense, it would have made a lot more sense for it to be a pre-produced piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
My best guess is in world, the producer wanted to just make it a big thing, and it just happened. They wanted to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. But yeah, it would have made a lot more sense for it to be a pre-produced piece.
Yeah. Annoying.
But yes, and you know what? I completely support Alan and Amy by making Cory be the one to tell Connie that the interview is done.
Yeah, me too. By we, I mean you. But you know, I Cory and Feeney give each other kind of this look of, you know, like, okay, things are going to go back to a normalcy now.
And I like that Mr. Feeney gives Cory credit and that lets Cory know that his character, from his perception, that Cory's character is heroic. Mm-hmm. Even in the midst of all of this crap.
Tomorrow.
Yes. Even in the midst of all the crap he's put everyone through by lying to them, he saw heroic character in Cory, especially in this moment. And by the way, you're painting tomorrow at school on a Saturday because you screwed up and you've got some, you got to make some amends here.
Yeah. But of course, Janitor Bud's taking away the locker genie, takes away his remote, takes away Topanga's remote, because we forgot to mention that the locker genie, there's 2 remotes, one for him, one for the wife.
Yes, and yes, you saved my life, but Feeney signs the checks.
Yes.
But Cory's got his best friend, his girlfriend, and he gets his old name back because Tommy says, "Hey, you, move."
Yep. Yeah. And of course, Tommy runs into Dr. Sorrell saying, "Hey, I got practice. Do you think? Oh, don't worry, you got an A."
And won't accept a doctor's a note from Cory's mom about a doctor's appointment he has tomorrow. Which, funny joke, but I know Dr. Sorrell's a morally gray character, but just for a moment, good-looking people, any teacher that would refuse a doctor's excuse for anything should be brought up before the school board.
Yeah, well, and that's why you take things to the office, not to a teacher, because the office has the authority to say this child is allowed to leave because they have a doctor's appointment.
Exactly. That's why you don't bother with Dr. Sorrell, especially when he just says no.
It's just this kind of like old Western type lifestyle they have at this school for whatever reason, where teachers are these crazy characters, and except for the groovy teacher, and
every classroom is its own town.
Yeah.
Mr. Feeney is just like the marshal running from town to town.
Hey, Dr. Sorrell.
No.
Well, Brett, that is an episode of Boy Meets World.
That is an episode of Boy Meets World, and I think it's time for us to learn some
people. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Deep dives.
Okay, so let's talk about different types of fire, Brett.
Ooh, fire.
Oh, this would be a perfect one for Dean Pelton to come on too. Fire. We have the class, we have the fuel type, how to suppress, and fire extinguisher type. So we have class A, which the fuel type is ordinary combustibles such as wood, paper, fabric, you know, your typical like fires that you do like out back, you know. How to suppress, use water, fire extinguisher that uses water or a foam, fire blanket or sand or dirt, fire extinguisher type water, foam. Class B, flammable liquids such as gasoline, oil, alcohol. Now this would be what I would call a redneck fire setup. So one of the things you got to do is you got to turn off the power and use a fire extinguisher that is specifically designed for such of a class, such as a carbon dioxide or dry chemical, foam dry chemical, carbon dioxide. Class C, electrical equipment such as appliances, wiring, or circuit breakers. You know, a lot of our Christmassy type fires that will end up starting because of people, you know, having faulty wiring that they put up once a year that isn't good for them anymore. Using a wet chemical extinguisher that creates a foam-like substance, turns off the heat source, and evacuate if necessary. You need a carbon dioxide dry chemical fire extinguisher. Class D, flammable metals such as magnesium, titanium, sodium, using a dry powder extinguisher containing dry powder, sodium chloride, graphite powder for the extinguisher, and then cooking oils and fats. Using wet chemical extinguisher that creates a foam-like substance, turns off the heat source, and evacuate if necessary. And the type of extinguisher is a wet chemical. Those would be like our cooking type fires, like grease fires, and those are considered a class K, and I'm hoping it's K for kitchen. So, Brett, we may be wondering, detention on Saturday morning, what is that nonsense? And do they still do it? Apparently in some schools, yes. It's still an option that's available to them. Detention Saturday morning at the high school level means that students who demonstrate a pattern of misconduct or misbehavior can receive a Saturday morning detention by an administrator. Now, at our school, we typically will do ISS, in school suspension, as a way to, they're at the school, they're doing schoolwork, so they're not just at home doing whatever they feel like, and thus, not really relying on like a Saturday morning situation. However, I will say there's a movie that came out a few years ago called the Power Rangers movie, and they all met at a Saturday morning detention. Fun fact. I bring this up because I really don't have that many fun facts specifically to this, because the subject itself is kind of, here's the thing, we solve the thing, we move forward from the thing. Outside of looking at like the different type of Philly productions around the area, which I couldn't get to. So I thought, why don't we look at the Saturday morning cartoon lineup? Because we talked about this before, that all Cory did in 6th grade was he watched cartoons. And so why don't we go ahead and just take a shot at a moment, Brett, and just talk about some of them. Okay. Being that he is in high school, I don't think Cory's really waking up, say, before 9:30. There are a lot of different things. Like at 8, there's The Adventures of Madeline, which I have no idea what that is. Adventure of Hype Man. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
You don't remember the little girl in Paris who goes to school that every day the girls walk in 2 straight lines?
The New Adventures of Madeline? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
No. Animaniacs. At 8:30, there's a Free Willy show, apparently. Didn't know about that.
Yes, there was. I remember that one.
Masked Rider.
Cory's definitely an Animaniacs kid.
Mm-hmm. The Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries. 9 o'clock, Dumb and Dumber. Aladdin. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Saved by the Bell, New Class. Animaniacs again. So he could be waking up around 9 o'clock so he can get a little Animaniacs in, but he could be flipping over to Power Rangers too, because he could still be into them a little bit. It would be weird for him to see some of his classmates in Saved by the Bell, the New Class.
It could be.
Bump in the Night. I have no idea what that is. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which we talked about, that Cory was into that show. Pinky and the Brain. And then, of course, we go over to Fudge. Don't know what that is. The Mask. That's a good one. The Spider-Man animated series. That was a fantastic show for its time. Freakazoid. Reboot. Not sure what that is.
Reboot was pretty big on ABC. Reboot was one of the first fully CGI animated series on the American shores.
Oh, cool.
They actually premiered on TGIF, if I remember correctly.
Cool. Bobby's World. The 11 o'clock lineup. So we got the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show. Apparently that ran for an hour. Wow. The Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat. Life with Louie. And NBA Inside Stuff.
Yes, trying to get kids into the NBA.
Yes. And then we get to, again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Go again. And then the X-Men. Yeah. So, let's say nothing else really comes up after that. So yeah, there's a really good lineup in the 90s right now, and give or take, depending upon my ability to pay attention, I guarantee you I was watching a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
I just was more of a passenger because my brother would have been in control of the TV in the morning. So yeah, a lot of good stuff at this time. If Cory is a teenager still watching.
Yep, I remember a lot of these. I was still watching a lot of these.
Well, and that's the thing, is this is their generation. I guess technically your generation is the first one that was like, no, these shows I watched as a kid, I like them and I want to continue to watch them. Ugh. But yeah, those are the deep dives, Brett.
All right. So let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Yes. So what did we learn this week, Tyler?
Well, I think as an adult, I learned that I need to be cautious and not just take every word my students and young people say to me as gospel. Not that I think that any of the adults were doing anything wrong necessarily, and you want to believe that they had the best intentions, but like Feeney was the only one really seeing past it in the adults we were interacting with. I think Amy and Alan were maybe a little suspicious, but they also didn't want to believe that their child would straight up lie to them about this. So yeah, just, I like Turner and, what's his face? Eli. But I think they are a little too trusting of Cory and Sean. And so Feeney being a little more, even though he's involved, he's a little more laid back and he's not as deeply involved in their personal life. So he has room to be skeptical.
Yeah.
What did you learn, Brett?
Well, I'd say from the adult perspective, I know I've shared it before, trust but verify. Lines up exactly with what you were saying. From the more broad perspective, be honest and you won't have to worry about lying over and over and over. But to go deeper than that, own who you are and you won't feel the need to lie about who you are and create problems for yourself and everyone around you. Just own who you are. You're going to change year to year. You're going to grow and become a different person from year to year. I mean, every 7 years, give or take, you'll shed every cell in your body and you are literally a different person physically. You're going to grow and change. Own who you are right now. Be content with who you are right now. Be comfortable with who you are right now. Even if people in the world, some people in the world know you as, hey, you move. Own that. Be comfortable with it. Be content with it. And you won't feel as great an urge to make problems for yourself and the people around you by needing to create this new reality.
Yeah, I agree.
It's easier said than done. I know good-looking people. Trust me, I was a teenager. As an adult, sometimes there is that urge too. But if you can own that, if you can own what you are, who you are, it makes it easier to avoid.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So.
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
What kind of a grade should we give Hometown Hero, Tyler?
I am a firm believer we both should give this a C. Just
C?
Straight up C. This is one of those episodes where there's a lot of good, but there's also really, really bad leaps in logic. And all of it boils down to the good and the bad out. Like they kind of equal each other out to just being a C. And I think that's okay.
I actually give it a B+.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, there are leaps in logic, and it is not the last time, it is not the first time that we have Cory creating problems because he's not content being who he is and he wants to be someone special.
Right.
However, anyone who's listened to this podcast for more than 2 episodes knows that I crave consequences for Cory's actions when he does this. And there's a lot of episodes where we don't see that. But we see Cory get direct consequences by having to be the one to own it with Connie, by getting direct consequences with Mr. Feeney, by having to get in detention the very next day and have to physically take care of the damage he caused. We see him reverting back to his status before. We see the red carpet gone. We see the locker genie gone. We see Bud grateful for, yes, he did save his life, but, that's what you get. You're grateful for that, for what you actually did do. But we also get this fantastic message from Mr. Feeney that speaks volumes into a young man's life that is desperately searching for what does it mean to stand out? What does it mean truly to be a hero? I know I'm not, but what does it mean to be one? And we see Sean own up to being at least partly responsible for it. And even in the midst of all this, Sean worries for Cory throughout the whole thing. Sean knows that he's responsible for sending him down this path. And Sean owns up to, at least in part, that he's responsible for giving the push.
Yeah.
So I go with my B+ because even though we've got all those issues with it, we actually see the consequences come about, and we get this fantastic fence conversation with Mr. Feeney.
Yeah. I see no problem in that whatsoever.
All right. So, Tyler, you've got a dad joke for me, don't you?
I do, actually. So, Brett, and the good-looking people out there, I have a football joke for us because it's football season officially, and I think you're going to appreciate this one, Brett.
All right. Lay it on me.
What do you call 53 millionaires around a TV watching the Super Bowl?
53 millionaires around the TV watching a Super Bowl. Rich?
The Dallas Cowboys.
I love it.
I figured you would.
And that good-looking people, that might be the biggest laugh you've elicited from me for a dad joke in a while.
You're welcome.
That is our episode this week. We thank you for stopping in and listening. And you can check us out online after the episode. Find us on social media at dadsmeetworld, on Twitter/X, on Instagram, on Facebook. We put out lots of stuff for you to interact with. We'd love for you to leave a comment and give us a shout out. Send us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com and leave us a review.
And we'll read them.
We will. I didn't check before this recording, but I checked a couple days ago. We didn't have any.
Yeah. So
and
send them in. We'll read them.
We will read them live on air. We have read them a couple times before, live on air. And you can also leave a review, a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That helps other people find us and enjoy the dad-delicious goodness that is Dads Meet World.
Dad-delicious.
That's right. Don't make us call a goobois.
No. I just don't make us do this again.
They want you to take the rules.
And that's all of my selling points.
Yep. Well, as always, good looking. We'll see you.
We'll see ya.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
You can find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.
They tried, so that's all that counts, and gave good effort. But yeah, oh
man, I am blanking on the band now. I used it a lot too when I was a youth pastor. It's called Hero. Oh man.
Yeah.
But anyway, if I can think of it.
High, I can hear heaven.
No, it's not that one. No.
Are you thinking about the one from Super Chick?
That's the one, Super Chick. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I won't tell her this out loud, but if she paid attention to the podcast episodes, the little headings that I put for the chapters, most playlist catchers, if you just tap on it, it'll advance to that chapter and you don't have to listen to everything before it.
No. I think someone just likes to just ignore the fact that her husband's on a podcast.
Yeah, I agree.
She just said, Kelly.
Oh, yeah. Kelly listens to it just as
love
much,
you.
if not less.
Good night. Yeah.
I was thinking, fire, fire, fire. It's a horrible Beavis.
So, sorry if you're looking up at my nose.
That's not quite up your nose.
Okay, here we go. So, first thing.
Oh, now it's up your nose. I looked away for a second. I looked back, and there it was. There she blows.
Oofa.